All right, so here we are. Good evening, everyone. This is our usual Saturday evening session. First, we'll take a look at the Nifty, Bank Nifty, and the rest of the sectors. And then once we have done with that, we will take a look at if we can find which are the stocks, which are the sectors, which can offer us a directional opportunity next week. So starting off with the Nifty, and you might see a little bit of change on my charts. Nothing, actually there is no change, it's a mild little addition. This is a little nostalgic for me because much earlier I used to take a look at the bar chart as well as the Heiken Ashi together kind of combined much earlier, like 4 or 5 years back. So recently I was looking at it, and I just felt that let's keep it back. Let's just take a look at the bar chart as well as the Heiken together for some more time. So I have the weekly, daily, and the 125-minute time frame. The priority will be, of course, on the weekly and the daily charts. I have the Nifty futures, and I will blow out the daily chart. There you go. And we have a retest of the previous lows, almost have come down to the previous lows. I had this Fibonacci retracement duo, and the index have fallen really sharp. Yesterday's sell-off, as you can see as I zoom in, is almost like an outside bar, but pretty sharp sell-off. It sold off from this last Friday's huge range expansion bar, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. The index have come back to its previous fractal lows. Let's start from the weekly time frame, should we? This is a weekly chart, and let's first try and figure out the weekly chart from the point of view of, well, it looks like this entire correction rally is going through a correction. The correction was one-legged, then it gave a bounce back, and it seems like it's opening up the second leg in a hurry, right? A couple of things, I will redraw a few of these things again. First and foremost is this wide range wherein the index had consolidated earlier, and from where we got the previous breakout. This was the major breakout, the last breakout, and the index is back to that level once, bounce back, and this is the retest of this one. It's a very wide zone. It's very difficult to pinpoint exact level, but if you ask me, it would be around 22,500, 600, all the way towards 23,700. So it's a pretty wide zone. In fact, why don't I write it down? 22,000, around 500, 600 to 3,700. Let me cross check once more if I've got them right. More or less 23,700, 800. It's very difficult to pinpoint an exact number to it, but this is how it looks like, this particular zone. Is that okay, right? I think it will make sense. In fact, I'll be a little more picky and reduce the font much more. Yeah, that's better. That's the obvious thing. That's the obvious zone that wherein we lie right now. If I take the liberty to drop few anchored VWAPs, well, there can be few of them, and we are dealing with the weekly chart here, remember. So let's say, for example, as I move down from the right to left of the chart, I'll be looking at I'm ignoring this 3rd June election result week. That was crazy. The first one that strikes out is this one. And this is not a bad one. Right on our face, we can clearly see how well in fact, the last correction, actually this anchored VWAP got a pretty good test. The one before that, which I find is of certain importance, is this one. And if I keep on going back to the past and find some important fractal lows, then I would say the last one would be something like this. And we are looking at data more or less from mid-2022. What about the last one that we just drew? It was all right till this point, and then after that it actually is not that meaningful, because Other lows have taken up the importance, and I think we would do good at this juncture right now to leave it at this level. Both the levels are more or less close to where we are trading, and good to see that both the anchored VWAPs have come within our wide range. There's another important thing that we should not miss out, that is, what if I draw this? You will notice that important fractal highs in the past and that crazy 3rd June election result days movement gives us a very relatively very thinner range close to that 22k, the base of around 22k. Again, if I have to put in some numbers, this is 22,000, 22,200. So why not mention it? And so we've got some structural supports coming in at lower levels. All right, not bad. But the way the markets are selling off, that's the important thing. We have worked on the supports, but the way last week sold off, the way momentum again picked up on the downside, the way we were dealing with this, what we like to call is a thunder short setup, and the range expansion is a concern. It's not like a 2-day sell-off, 2-day bounce back, again a bit of sell-off, nothing like that. Last week was quote unquote, I would say brutal, right? For few stocks and sectors, it was really bad. So the index is going back to from where it bounced back to a very major congestion consolidation with a lot of momentum. So are we going to see a continuous sell-off? Are all these levels are going to get taken out easily? I don't know. That time will tell us. But at least we have some levels drawn and we will be prepared. Strategically, definitely not the best of time to start buying. I would suggest number 1, wait for the selling slowdown. Number 2, some base formation and then look to buy. If you're a long-term investor and you're making use of this relatively cheaper prices, still I would suggest that wait out a little bit. Wait for the selling to at least slow down. So that's the weekly. Daily point of view, from the daily chart, what we will come to are essentially the resistances. Now you will remember maybe 2 weeks back, was it 2 weeks back, we did draw the similar way, we did draw these resistances. Just the same way we drew this supports right now, the same way we had drawn these resistances. And clearly the first zone is what the market has clearly respected. It's come off. And so this will be a very important zone from a structural point of view. From a short-term point of view, I just need to zoom in and check that while it was falling, a couple of days back, there was a gap down. That is right here, close to Friday's high and Thursday's high, and that's the short-term levels, short-term resistances, tad below 24,200. Right? So if in case you see any kind of an attempt, keep in mind 2 things. I'm talking short-term point of view. Point number 1, this was Friday's range. The market needs to scale 50% of Friday's range first. First and foremost, sign of strength or sign of even a minor bounce back is last week का जो range था उसका आधा तो निकालो, 50% range. And then when it starts to make a higher high, Friday का high के ऊपर जाएगा तभी ना higher high होगा. Once it starts to make a higher high, it will start to retest this gap down. So these two are the minor trivial hurdles that the price have to take care of for any kind of a thought that okay, fine, let's see, it is showing some bounce back. Will it have further room towards upsides or not? तब तक कोशिश कीजिए कुछ ना करने का. Try not to do anything. It can only lead to further damage to your trading portfolio. Breakout trades will not be a very good idea in this market condition. So breakdown trades भी कोशिश मत कीजिएगा. If you are in the derivative segment and you can and you do take positions in the futures and all, do not do breakdown trading. ब्रेक डाउन हो रहा है उस पर ट्रेड मत कीजिएगा. ट्राई एंड ट्रेड on the bounce back. The reason I'm saying this is the overall market is going to retest its previous low. It's in this zone, in this area, when it retests an important level, traps are formed. So please break down trading mat kijiyega. Try not to and stick to selling. If you are bearish, look to sell on a rise. And if you are long only, better to just wait for the selling to ease off. Let's take a look at the the broader markets, the mid and small cap. The mid cap and the small cap both had a great run up and both have opened up beautifully on the downside. If I go by our trend indicators, it's just angling down, but the momentum indicators have clearly weakened. So mid and small caps are likely to continue the fall. It's a huge outside bar for the small cap index. And if you see any outside bars during Friday's trade, the range of the outside bar is a point of importance for you. Let's take a look at the sectoral indices, starting off the most important one, that is the Bank Nifty. Now in the Bank Nifty, I will start with the weekly time frame. Yeah, this is a weekly time frame, and what I can see, you can also see that with me very, very clearly, is that number one, the index is essentially range bound, and this is the range I'm talking about, right? It has gone through its share of ups and downs and 100% rallies, and when I say 100% rally, I mean whatever was the retracement, it retraced 100%, retraced 100%, and that's why it has created this zigzag kind of a shape. I am not a pattern, I'm not a very passionate in terms of classical chart patterns, so I'm not the right person to say whether this is a head and shoulder or not. If you ask me, whatever little I understand from the patterns and the psychology of these patterns, it's not. It's just consolidating, it's just range bound. And this range is held pretty well by the psychological 50K. Yes, there has been occasional dip down 50K, but they were momentary. If I drag it to the past, I can also see that there has been some evidence of resistance in the past, a fractal high, and this is the weekly chart, mind you. So this is not a very bad support zone. In fact, it's a brilliant support zone. If you ask from the Bank Nifty's point of view, if we see the Bank Nifty breaking down below it, staying down below it, not bad, not good news. It's bad news for the overall Bank Nifty, because then it will open up for retest of previous fractal highs or maybe further downsides. So far so good, it's holding. Our momentum indicators are down, range expansion. So I would say please be careful, please be very, very specific if you're looking for any kind of long trades here. I think movement will be stock specific. Taking a look at the daily chart, this is the same zone that I drew on the weekly chart. This is where it is, a little below 50K and more or less there. I had drawn the Fibonacci duo, which I actually prefer to see support from. I'll keep it for a couple of more days, and this is where your resistance lies. In fact, I think I did share a small write-up on Bank Nifty yesterday. I hope you've gone through it. So Bank Nifty, weak. Again, same thing. Do not look to short the stock or the market on the breakdown. Any kind of a short attempt is better on the pullback. And if you're planning to buy, oh come on, Bank Nifty is at wonderful supports. And if you're planning to buy, then I think it will be more stock specific. And please be as disciplined as possible if you're a long only trader in terms of your stop losses. With the Bank Nifty, it only makes sense to take a look at the CNX Finance also, and the finance will give you a very, very similar picture. But what we like to always take a look at is the difference between the private sector bank and the PSU bank. So this is the private sector bank, Nifty Private Bank. And with the Nifty Private Bank, let's take a look at the weekly chart first. All right. And over here, you have a bit of a range. But what concerns me is the way our momentum indicator has started to angle down. You can see the slowdown of momentum. If we go by this kind of a breakdown is very, very evident. It's very likely that the index is coming down to these levels. I don't see real strength in this chart right now. Heiken Ashi is yet to give me a negative Heiken per se, but overall things don't look that great. PSU Bank will be in a reversal mode and giving us a PSU Bank gave us a reversal and then it is retracing. Now this is an interesting pocket. Let me walk you through step by step. We are looking at the CNX PSU Bank weekly chart. It was the pocket which weakened first when the private banks were relatively stronger. Then we saw a bounce back, a reversal. SBI did phenomenal over here. Now this 2-week correction is this a retracement of this 3-week rally, and are we headed for further upsides? That's one question. For which we take a look at the trend. It's kind of flattish. It's neither very bullish nor very bearish. It's just trying to find some directional clarity. If you take a look at our momentum indicators, you will like it with me because we like to call this our thunder long pullback setup, wherein there is a bit of a directional clarity, little bit of strength, not that great. The momentum clarity is much better. RSI short term dips down. Heiken Ashi starts to give us a trigger. You can see Heiken Ashi has given us a trigger over here with an upper shadow. So when we combine this, and if you tell me, will you be looking to buy banking next week? I would say actually no, but if I see the CNX PSU Bank scale above last week's high, which is very unlikely looking at the way it has closed. However, it's market, anything can happen. If I see any of the PSU banks scaling above last week's high, or my first alert will be if any PSU bank scales above last Friday's high, then I will be looking at it with some bullish interest. Okay? So if you are long only, and you will see a long only trader in this market will be very, very helpless. And पहले तो helplessness आता है. Because whatever you're trading on the long side will get stopped out. Thankfully, hopefully you're a disciplined one, though you will only pile up small losses. If you're not a disciplined one, then those losses will keep on compounding, and not compounding is not the right word, will keep on, growing. And that helplessness will also mean that you're not getting any long trades, opportunities bhi nahi mil raha hai. And then it will lead to a bit of frustration, right? So yeah, if you're a long only trader and you're kind of feeling helpless, then I would suggest take a look at the PSU banking pack, the PSU banking stocks, and if you see any pocket of strength, if you find any stock scaling above last Friday's high, last week's high, you might have something for you. Okay? So yeah, that's the PSU bank. Now let's start with auto. Auto weekly chart. At the look, see, most of the charts have closed last week and last Friday close to the lowest point of the day and the lowest point of the week. It's been a very bad close, very negative, weak close for the most of the sectors and stocks. So yeah, it seems like it's opening up further on the downside. We have a beautiful trend momentum sink and things are just started to open up further. I will just add one small thing here with everyone. When you see important lows getting breached, okay? This was an important low. This low got breached yesterday, Friday, and that day will have a high and a low, correct? Just keep this back of your mind that if you see any stock scaling above Friday's high after breaching this low, that is your sign of positivity or strength. Just itna yaad rakhiyega, khyaal rakhiyega. A sign of weakness, a sign of further sell-off will be the market will not even come close to a bounce back. वो bounce back देने का कोशिश ही नहीं करेगा. So if you see any stocks on Monday or Tuesday, which after falling for the last 4-5 days, on Monday has started to go up, and Friday का high उसने निकाल दिया है, the same thing which I discussed about the PSU bank, that is your pocket, that will be your first pocket of strength across all the sectors actually going forward. So same with PSU bank and same with auto. Energy, nothing much actually. Again, a very, very weak close, pretty decent negative Heiken. I don't see any divergences kicking in whatsoever. Avoid. Finance we have discussed. FMCG fell first and very, very sharp. After that, it is like a tennis ball. It's trying not to fall, it's trying to bounce back. Agree? Let's zoom out the FMCG weekly chart. I had this erstwhile support, these resistances, which actually did not work as support, broke down, bounced back, and now opening up further down. Bar charts are really bad. Heiken Ashi also pretty much negative, nothing doing. And yeah, unless we see some proper signs of divergences or selling slowdown, it doesn't make sense. Will it come and retest this fractal bunch of, cluster of fractal lows? Highly possible. In fact, I'll take the liberty to quickly drop another zone here. In fact, this is more likely. And I would like to draw them in blue. The color coding is essentially blue for supports and red for resistances. So FMCG, I won't suggest, stay out. IT is the only pocket of strength, was the pocket of strength, is also even now the pocket of strength. But IT sell-off yesterday was really very, very sharp. This is the weekly chart. I do see a bit of a momentum slowdown in terms of structural divergences kicking in. But it's a strong chart. Even if I show you the monthly charts, it's pretty clean. The monthly charts will probably clearly tell you, listen, we had a multi-year breakout. It's a throwback, and it's a very, very strong, long-term bullish chart. So if you have IT in your long-term portfolio buy and hold, you should not worry significant right now. However, if I take a look at the weekly chart, there has been a sharp sell-off last week. Our Heikens are still all right. Our trend indicators, momentum indicators are still all right. We have gone through a range expansion which has almost touched 2 standard deviation on our range indicator. Thoda sa we should pull ourselves back in terms of adding longs. A couple of things: range expansion, close near the week's low. If you see the IT stocks and you find similar price behavior, ab thoda sa wait kar jaye. Should not be in a hurry to buy. But if you want to make use of the sell-off and buy stocks, when the markets are coming down, there can be 2 types of stocks you can look to buy. I'm talking from a position on long-term cash market point of view. One category of stock are the ones which are falling with the market. Okay, which are weakening with the market, which have fallen 15, 20, 25% or more. So they are cheap, relatively cheap. The other ones will be the pocket of strength, जो उतना गिरा ही नहीं है, in fact probably ऊपर है. Now IT falls under this category. So I would suggest that depending on whichever will be your priority, if your priority is I will first look to buy strength and then I will look for quality stocks within the weaker section, then IT में ध्यान रखिए, across the board TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Coforge, Persistent, definitely there are a lot of quality names there, but I would suggest wait out a little bit. Metal. Now in metal also you would see that there has been a distinct slowdown of the momentum, and the metal is again back to some important levels. I think I should keep these drawings here. These are essentially fractal lows. There you go. Wherein it's on the verge of what we like to call a breakdown. Choppy Heiken-Ashi readings, you can clearly see it has created a range for itself back to the lower border of the range. Do we get a breakdown? So possibility is high looking at the market momentum and selling sentiment. Keep an eye on most of the metal stocks if you see any kind of. So I will reiterate one more thing. Try not to trade breakdowns, please. If you find a pocket of weakness, try and go short on the rise. Pharma was a pocket of relative strength last week. Yes, few stocks behaved well. But if we take a look at the weekly chart of pharma, what do we have? We have a short-term first leg correction, a 3-week rally. It was just opening up on the downside. Then all of a sudden, last week, it gained. It actually went up. So it's not giving us clear-cut directional clarity. I have couple of inhibitions. First doubt is this a bounce back? Is this a bounce back after this sell-off? Then it will open up on the downside. For that, I need to check my momentum indicator, whether the momentum is still down or not. Yes, the momentum is very much completely down and out. So I am considering this move, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this 5-week move, more like a bounce back after the fall. So you get the picture now. If I cross-check that with the daily chart, I come to the daily chart and I see a bit of positiveness. So essentially, pharma, if it wants to show relative strength, once it goes above Friday's high, something like a Dr. Reddy, the move was phenomenal. Sun Pharma is the key over here. I don't think there's any second thoughts about it. So Sun Pharma's move in the next 1 to 2 weeks is going to be the deciding factor for which way pharma is going. Short-term trigger, last Friday's high, that is yesterday's high, for upsides. And trigger for serious weakness will be last week's low. So keep an eye on the pharma pack and 100% keep an eye on Sun Pharma. PSU Bank we've taken a look at. Let's quickly take a look at Realty and consumer durables. Now Realty, weekly chart, stuck in a range. The highs are lowering a little bit. We have a big outside bar last week. Our trend, Heiken, momentum indications are actually positive. If I take a look at my Heiken readings, my trend readings, my momentum readings, etc., they are all positive. We had almost crossing one standard deviation range expansion. तो मुझे नहीं लगता कुछ खास होने वाला है next week. From a weekly point of view, it's bullish. It has given a good bounce back. Oberoi Realty is the cream over here. But I think it's going to be choppy and it's better to avoid. We'll do good quickly if we take a look at the daily chart. You can see how beautiful the Realty pack has moved in sync of trend and momentum. Now it's giving us a deeper correction. Of course, the momentum has gone out. The trend is still holding. Avoid. Please avoid. Do not look to go short. Neither do you look to go long. Avoid this pack as of now. And finally, the CNX, the Nifty consumer durables. I'll start with the weekly chart. Yeah, this is the weekly chart. Now, this rally of 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of consumer durables was exceptional. We saw Havells, Dixon especially moved really well. Titan also played its part. And now we have structurally a lower high. Okay. And this will get confirmed next week. More confirmation will come next week. Momentum is still down. Trend is up. We have a slowdown in terms of the Heiken. So it's not giving us, again, it's giving us kind of mixed readings. And so we do not have clear-cut conviction in which way. Of course, the trend is the most important thing, which had turned bullish. And so any move above last week's high, brilliant. In fact, I will go down to the daily chart and same thing I will tell you that mark last Friday's high for many consumer durables stocks also, like I discussed with you for the PSU name. Okay? So because consumer durables had given a very good move, because consumer durables trend is predominantly positive, which is slowing down, if it wants to give us the next leg up, उसका पहला hurdle ही होगा Friday का high. So do not try to catch the bottom. On the other hand, try and identify those which are showing strength. थोड़ा strength दिखाने दीजिए in a falling market. That's where you will have some conviction, right? Yeah, so that's it. That's it more or less for the Nifty and sectoral indices. Price behaves in various manners, misbehaves also at times, and the supports that we drew may or may not hold the market. Discipline is the key at any stage, and again I will reiterate before I leave this analysis is if you're a long only trader, the fact that we are back to the lows from where we bounced back, I would suggest that slow down a little bit. Please exercise some patience and wait for this momentum, the way the market has sold, not how much it sold, the way it sold. That needs to slow down first, and then we will see whether we at all get a bounce back or not. ठीक है? चलिए, this is where I'll end the analysis, and now I'll start taking a look at your doubts, questions, and let's see if we find any pocket of strength after last week's literal carnage.